I'm Sherlyn Lowe, reviews editor at Engadget, and here on the couch with me is Jeff E., VP of Product Marketing and Strategy at ZTE, and we are here to talk about what ZTE is doing with experimental form factors in the mobile space and what we can expect to see in 2018. But first, let's kind of go over really quickly what ZTE sort of announced here at CES. There was no new handset sort of to see, but you did have a little bit of news to share.
Yeah, our news this week was a partnership with Qualcomm and with a company called WearSafe in a new line of IoT for emergency tracking for kids, for elderly, for anyone that needs that one button push to be able to do an emergency call.
So, does this mean we can expect to see a lot more sort of IoT or wearable type of devices from ZTE moving forward, or?
Yeah, absolutely. So our core competency is wireless and networking and communication in general. It doesn't necessarily mean that we will develop every product for IoT, but we will help to enable great companies to make it wireless. In some cases, we will help to manufacture and develop our own. But we want to enable smart devices and connect them to the internet, and that's our mission.
Late last year, we saw an interesting product come out of ZTE called the Axon M. For those of you at home who haven't heard about it just yet, this is the first dual-screen folding phone that we've seen in recent years. It's been done before by other people, but we have from AT&T, which is the exclusive carrier, the Axon M. And kind of when I got the briefing from you when this first launched, we heard that it's because Android has finally reached a point where multi-window apps are functioning properly, going to actually be useful. So I guess my question here is, Jeff, can you actually shed any light on how has this been received since its launch?
Yeah, I think the reaction from users, both those that have used the phone and those that are looking at it the first time, it's been received very well. And it's because it's something new and different that's being done in this industry. For a long time, we've had the traditional single-screen device, and it's great for certain applications, but as we try to go beyond that, for multitasking, we need more screen. And what we've seen over the past few years is people go from smaller screens to bigger and bigger and bigger, and we hit a limit. And that limit was roughly about 6 inches, and it depends on the person. But the point is, people do want bigger screens. When they have the space, when they have both in your pocket, in your purse, what fits in your hand comfortably, when they have the space and they have the bigger screen, they'll use it. Our challenge was to figure out how to give them that bigger space at the times that they need it, and then collapse it into something more portable and easier to use. What we came up with, if I can show this now, what we came up with is something that is a compromise for both. There are going to be some times when I need a single screen, right, a one-handed operation, and there are other times when I want more space. And so we call this the foldable, thank you. We call this the foldable series, and you also see the example out here in front too. So I'm going to enable this, yeah, it's done. And so what we have is a much larger screen. This is something that will be used with 2 hands, and we created these different modes. We had to spend a lot of time thinking about how people would use it. And there's a lot of different types of use cases that we can already draw upon that people are doing today, such as in the home. I watch TV, and I'm doing something on the couch at the same time. Sometimes I'm on my computer, and sometimes I'm on my phone. But I might be tweeting, I might be doing email, I might be doing something else while I'm watching. 2 screens allows me to do that. Right, I can watch YouTube on top screen and be doing something else on the bottom screen, for example. There are other applications where we wrote a second mode for. That's mode number 1, if I were to summarize, is 2 applications on 2 different screens. The next mode is probably the one that's most obvious to everyone, which is when you have that extra space, it looks like a tablet. So why not identify an application and go from the mobile version of it to the larger tablet version? So we work with an ecosystem of partners to be able to do that. And all we're simply doing is detecting when a phone is open to use the tablet version. And then the last mode that we call it is the one that is on here that you see, which is we take the same screen and we mirror it. So the same screen now shows up on both sides, and it's really ideal for 2 people.
When you say it has been well received, are you saying that people have been going out and buying these, or people who have been using them have actually told you in some form of survey or something, what they're using the most and what they like the most?
Yeah, various feedback. Some comes from just like AT&T selling. You mentioned it's an exclusive partner. Actually, I wanted to clarify one thing. Exclusive partner for the US, where we've already made announcements in Japan and China, and more to come. But since AT&T is one of those partners, the ratings, the reviews on their websites, reviews that we're seeing from the tech media, direct comments that we're seeing in our own forums, I think the one common thing, if I were to summarize, something new, right? For a long time, we've seen the same thing over and over, and maybe the screen gets bigger and the bezels get smaller, but now we're finally challenging the whole industry to do something different.
And you also said when it was launched that this is something you're committed to kind of developing over the years. This isn't just a one-off novelty device. This is almost sort of a phone to kind of gain feedback on and figure out how to improve a dual screen device.
Yeah.
Have you heard anything about what you need to do better with the next Axon M?
Yeah, I think the most obvious one is the bezel. You can see it probably even our point there. Now, in the middle, we've used a two-screen layout. Over the future, and I can't commit to the timeline yet, we imagine that bezel completely disappearing. For the moment, we're focused on the use cases, the applications that make a lot of sense for two applications to be shown on different screens. And there's a lot of just possibility, endless possibility that we can even do in today's model. But over the future, and we're setting this up, and the reason why we call it a foldable series, we're very careful not to call it dual screen, is because it will move away from dual screens. It will eventually get to something that's truly bendable. It might get bigger. There's a lot of other things that we might be adding over time, but I think the key feedback so far is, look, if I really want to watch video, I don't want that line in the middle. We hear that, we understand that, that will change over time, but we've got a lot of great applications and purpose for this device today.
What do you think the people want from smartphones, especially in experimental form factors, in 2018?
Yeah, that's a hard one to answer because every person you ask has a different opinion. And our job, that's what makes this a very difficult environment, is that there might be one generation of Axon M that we're going to be one next version of this, I should say, that we're doing this year, and a lot of different ideas. And so we have to aggregate their feedback, the comments from all these users, and figure out, all right, what is the most common thing that they're asking for. But what
is the most common thing?
Oh, it's probably what you already asked for. In this particular device, it is the removing of the bezel.
Okay.
And I will say that's going to be a challenge for this year, just for the reasons that we talked about. But there's other feedback that we are taking into consideration for this product. If I were to say the one thing that's most common across all of our devices, it's stock Android. We hear that over and over and over.
People love stock Android. Who knew? No, I knew.
And that is something that we took to heart, we listened to, and you'll see that across a lot of our devices that are coming up, and even refreshes on like our Axon series.
And so, I know you probably can't share this. Is there anything we can expect coming from ZTE in 2018 that will blow our minds?
Well, yeah, you're right that I wouldn't be able to give away any trade secrets, but blowing away someone's mind is not just about a new feature in a phone. Blowing away someone's mind, in a lot of cases, what we do for ZTE is really surprise someone that we can do a phone with quality and the price.
Right, you guys have always been about the affordable premium.
We sat down with you with the Z Max Pro that was $99, and you went, what? There's that kind of shock factor that we would love to do to show people that you don't have to spend $1,000 on a device now. You can have a great device, good quality, at an affordable price. But we do turn around with some of the ideas. So the ask was, for anybody here listening, tell us what you want. We're receptive to it. We listen, and we do customize a lot of different products for different people.
Well, which I think is actually a very interesting thing, as opposed to having a room of selective people decide for you what you're going to see in your next phone. So it sounds like we're going to have to wait a little bit longer to see what sort of crazy new things we can expect from ZTE. But for now, it's kind of nice to get this is sort of a background behind the scenes on the Axon M dual screen bending phone. Lots of different words for this device. For more, though, you can already check out the articles that we have written on the Axon M on Engadget.com. And for more information out of CES 2018, be sure to stay tuned to Engadget. Thank you so much for your time, Jeff, and thank you, all of you, for watching for so long.